Hello, my name is thangiethon, and this is Let's Play Trailmakers Part 8, I think it is. Now, if I remember it correctly. So, I've been preparing a lot for this new update, this base update, as it will be confirming a lot of my earlier predictions that Airborne happens earlier in the Trailmakers timeline. It doesn't happen after the events of Stranded in Space, and I think this will prove it. Or disprove it. Because I believe... So here's my working theory. First, what happened, you fly this... You get demoted from the position you are in. Your job was to defend against pirates, was to help aid in a fight. You basically waste your company's money, and basically you get demoted to carrying junk around. And I think your job was to collect stuff. I think that's the working thing, is that you got demoted to just getting working stuff. Your job was to carry stuff. This is gonna be hard. And I think that the space one, this new DLC is happening before. It's basically what's happening immediately before, probably immediately before the Stranded in Space. That's my working idea. That's my working theory on it. But there's just a little proof to prove it to be factoid. So I might be wrong, but there is a story in Trailmakers. No doubt about it. And so what happened, they're doing what FNAF is doing with their lore. Kind of, in a sense. Similar but different. They're piecing their lore sardine style, working with the present and figuring out the past. Because I think my working timeline is deep sea current, space. So here's where I think it is. Now I think the maps are separate planets, with just similar, that I think the first thing is that I think to establish is that there probably is more let me say it in a lighter way, more hot Jupiter universes, then I believe there should be. As that's no Venus-sized planet, no doubt that. But why would I say it's Jupiter-like? As wouldn't a Venus have a Venus size, as they would be both similar and they would be able to be closer together and still be able to rip each other apart, but not to the biggest amount that you do, that you don't really need to worry. I think that's one thing I would say, maybe. I have gotten up here before. Up here before and up here before. And it's not impossible. It's just very hard to get up there. Many people just say jump. The way I got up there was convoluted at best. Just to leave it out, just saying, don't worry about it how I got across this area the first time, as I don't want to divulge into that at all. So the first problem many people would think is that no way Trailmakers has lore. It's just a game where you're playing with vehicles. No way a game can have lore. No way Trailmakers has lore. Oh, it has lore. I know it has lore, mates. By the one factoid I know about when you talk about lore. It's always that it's convoluted and crazy. How lore is gonna be. It's always gonna be like this. Crazy convoluted and stuff. But that's not what we're really here about. Why do I believe that concurrently the timeline is bigger and a lot of things support the timeline of, I think one of the parts of the island, parts of the area of the deep sea area, the pirate area, the blue area, is they created the robot pirates and the airborne. I think I already said that before, but that's one thing I really want to get down and establish. They created the main enemies for that, as there are four, I think there are 4 clans. There's Energy Corps, which is Power Corps, I should say. I believe that's one of the factions, which I think basically pulled a twist villain. Basically, there were the Vikings, which hated basically modern technology, the military faction, the ones that were part of the Trailmakers Corporation, but when push came to shove and basically something happened, basically these guys were all on one ship, but they separated and they created their own factions, and that was different from, or was the military corporation the Trailmakers Corporation? Think about it. I know that the Power Core Corporation existed. I think that's what gave the military the edge to almost win, but I think their battle ended in a draw, where nobody won because of the vortex. Basically, they traveled to different planets, having to travel to different planets to go fight off their enemies. But the pirates. The Vikings were just people who were just like, anyway. But were really against technology. I think they were anti-technology. That's my working theory for now. There's no confirmation. You just have to really take what's headcanon for headcanon. And you have to create something first. Create a baseline of what you think the story is before going off the rails and thinking that there's going to be a second part to this, what happens after, or that the deep space is after. Maybe it could be, but why would it? Does the new space update be after, since most of the other stories are taking place before the main campaign? Because you're the same person in the main campaign as in the airborne campaign. That's my working theory, as I believe that is true. You crash your ship, it costs the Trailmakers Corporation, which used to be the military corporation. Basically, my working theory is that there was the Trailmakers as the Trailmaker peoples. They made stuff. Eventually, there was this mega cruise ship full of people, which crashed down on a planet on accident. This is probably way long before your character gets in, was probably even born, but is setting up for the main conflict of when the Trailmakers Corporation starts. Because they didn't call it the Trailmakers Corporation probably back then. They were just probably, I don't know what came before, as I think they're working their way up to that to explain the factions a little bit more. These people, these ones that we're following, I believe, created the raceway thing, which is the current one is actually a Trailmakers Corporation remake of it after battles. Basically, the pirates came from their planet and basically screwed up the Trailmakers pirates, not the robot pirates in the Airborne. These guys created those ones. That's my working theory. As simple as it might seem, story-wise, it's not simple at all. You've got complications in the story. As I believe this is the working theory I have for now. And the creators could probably see this video and say, he might be correct, he might not be. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Time will tell. Unfortunately, that leaves me in the dust when trying to theorize about something that they've been slowly crafting and telling the past. And I think this is the best way. It will confirm what I believe is that Airborne doesn't take place after Stranded in Space. Because I believe Airborne is the second event. So, is the second chapter of the event. I think the first chapter of the event is the creation of the Trailmakers Corporation. So, then there was the pirates. They came and screwed up the Raceway Island. They had to move off the planet because they made it inhabitable. They made it ruined and they couldn't race, and they had to move away because pirates occupied it for a long time. And then they went to the Danger Zone planet. This is where they took a turn to the serious. And I believe that's when the racing community became the military community. And that's where I'm going to leave it here, as I want to get more gameplay out. Today's upload. Ouch. That was bad. Only if I was a little bit faster. And only if I didn't flip over. But yeah. But this is where I believe the Power Corp Corporation came in. The ones that the Trailmakers basically was, I think, 50% of the Trailmakers Corporation, which was originally the military, which was originally the racing, which was originally something else before that. And I think the Trailmakers and the pirates have been fighting, but since the pirates, all the human pirates are all gone, because I think they were on a kind of losing streak, but not really. They had the advantage at the beginning. But I don't really want to divulge in what I believe is the working story. My working theory story. But I believe this is probably the correct way to take the Trailmaker story. To explain the story to somebody new. As we already know, and the pirates thing doesn't really seem far-fetched. I told you, not enough speed. So, yes, the pirates thing actually works, that there was a pirate faction as we see their machines in the airborne, which happens before the main campaign, which I'm playing through right now. So why aren't you playing them in order of the timeline? Because, of course, understanding that Trailmakers actually has lore is a big step for Trailmakers to actually start expanding the story towards what happens after Stranded, instead of making stories that happened before to explain what was going on before. Because I think, yeah, I know for sure that Deep Sea takes place before the main campaign. And that's my working theory for now. There's no proof to theory at all, but honestly, do you even need proof? When it's all just don't quote. There we go, back to the original one. As it's much smaller, it might be easier to do in this explosive area. But how would you explain the story to somebody when you don't even know the story at all? I know I don't know the story. That's why I'm trying to figure it out myself. And there's some things I would really like to see happen in Trailmakers. For console players. Now, it might seem irrelevant now, but adding a way to add mods to the Trailmaker, to the consoles, so PC Master Race has no claims. As I honestly believe that PC Master Race is a stupid thing with petty people believing that computers are way better when